Where have you gone, people? You've gone right here to listen to us, Kyle Smith and Jose Tappy. Woo! Woo! Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. This is Kyle Smith and Jose Taffy, and this is Bread and Circus. We were in studio last week, but not on the air. Had some technical difficulties with the site, but we're back.
It wasn't our fault this time.
No, it wasn't our fault. So, what should we start with today?
A lot of topics to discuss. A lot going on.
Let's start with the Democratic LBGT town hall the other day.
Was it literally titled LGBT Town Hall?
Yes.
Oh.
It was it was something.
Yeah. What do you want to start with, Kyle? What do you want to unravel first?
Okay, first of all, look. I got nothing against the gays. None of those. But it's just, without even getting into what happened at it, just what's the purpose? Like, what is the point?
It's political posturing.
They literally have all the rights that they're just normal people. They literally have all the rights that straight people have, and yet we got to have a town hall forum.
But they're marginalized in some way.
By
right?
who?
By angry white incels.
No. So they had this town hall. Let's get into the funny stuff first. I don't know for who those who've watched it heard Chris Cuomo on his pronouns.
What, he listed his pronouns? He has pronouns now?
Just take a listen.
Good to see you, Senator. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
How are you? Anna, thank you guys. And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, and her. Mine too.
All right.
All right, first question for the night.
So
What?
when I first heard that, I was cracking up. Okay, first of all, Kamala Harris just being Kamala Harris, and I hate Kamala Harris, but just trying to posture and look, I'm hip, look at my pronouns.
She, her, and hers.
And then Cuomo, I don't know if he was joking.
Mine too.
Or he had no idea what she was talking about. But he had to come on Twitter later and apologize, and he's like, "Oh, remember that I'm an ally."
Get out of here.
And
Get out of here.
It's just like this is why the left probably end up destroying itself, because they just jump on each other at any time for anything.
Yeah.
And everyone's trying to see how low they could bow to other groups.
Yeah, look how, basically. And it feels so disingenuous. I don't know. I feel like it's disingenuous, and I feel like regular people, it doesn't really do much for most people. It scores brownie points with the ultra liberals. Not a good look, in my opinion, but hey. It's cool. It's hip these days to have you announce your pronouns, announce that you're an ally, and if you're not an ally, you're an enemy. So obviously, if you don't agree with all this political posturing, you hate these people, and that's obviously not true.
Yeah, well, I don't care.
Most people don't care.
Yeah, well, I don't care how idiotic they are. The only thing I worry about is that is what's looked at as the more socially positive, acceptable way of looking at things. And even though that's held by only a minority, for some reason, I don't know, just in people's minds, in the Twitterverse and stuff, people look at it as if that's the majority of how people think, and it's not. It's just a false perspective. I don't really think anyone cares. But that's how it's looked at. First of all, the pronouns. Just, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. We know you're female.
Yeah. I feel like if you were a transsexual who was trying to pass as the opposite sex, wouldn't it be obvious to the observer if you're trying to, if you actually went through the treatment, the hormone therapy or whatever, and you actually can pass, then the pronoun should come without saying. When you look at somebody for the first time, you automatically judge them without really thinking about it. You know, male, female. Our minds just have that binary mode of thinking. And this other stuff, it's manufactured. And it's not. It doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't seem genuine when people try to announce their pronouns like that.
Yeah, well, this is dumb posturing. It's Pokemon Go to the polls tier.
Oh, cringy.
Yeah, but the worst thing of the night for me was when they had a 9-year-old transgender boy, so girl to boy, ask Elizabeth Warren a question about bullying in school. And what you do to stop it, as if the president could do anything about that. But that's not the point. The point is that, first of all, I don't like using children as political pawns. But second, you know, he, whatever, asks the question, and everyone's cheering and applauding and look, oh, how brave. And the thing is that they're cheering on putting someone's mental illness on a stage and looking at it as normal and healthy when they really need help. Gender dysphoria, not that I would have personal experience, but is a legitimate mental issue that causes people a lot of depression to the point of suicide. And it'd be hard to imagine just having your own identity being in question for you. Like, it sounds really painful. And it's something that needs to be looked at with tact and looked at a case-by-case basis. And not just thrown up as a 9-year-old going through it and just applauding them and exposing them to the public. And there's been, speaking of which, there's been an uptick in people detransitioning. And just like I saw a case of someone in the UK, she was a woman, wanted to become a man. At the age of 13, started hormonal treatment at the advice of her therapist. And it turns out her problems with her body image more had to do with an eating disorder she had than gender dysphoria. And so now at 21, she's detransitioning after being on hormones for 7-8 years. And that's painful. And I heard another story about, there's a charity and a group for that, which doesn't get a whole lot of support from other LGBT people. Because a lot of people who detransition, all that support they once had is gone. People get upset and they just think like, oh, that's the problem. It wasn't the transition. The problem is that you're detransitioning. And what do you think you're sending a message for, and blah, blah, blah. So all that, acceptance and like be who you are talk was BS from at least some people. But the thing is that to take a manufactured drug to kill your own biology, especially prepubescent, is not a cure-all for gender dysphoria and depression.
No, definitely not. You can tell that by the really high suicide rates of people who do transition.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's just the thing is people on the left look at young kids, taking manufactured drugs to, kill their hormones as normal, and it's really not. And when someone's misdiagnosed and they transition too early, I mean, first of all, kids are dumb, okay? You take the brightest 9-year-old in the world, and they're still stupid, okay? They don't know what they're... This is the whole point of parenting.
Yeah. Is
that that they're dumb, and that you have to help them out and guide them. And just giving into what a kid may want one day, and the left's political pullings on that subject is not good parenting. I'm not saying that to transition is never the answer. If people want to do that, it's fine. But for me personally, I look at hormonal treatment, especially prepubescently, as outright evil.
Yeah, you're
and insane.
It's almost an irreversible decision.
Yeah, there's a
Jazz.
Yeah, but,
Yeah.
but what's that kind of show called?
Messed up reality. I don't know.
No. Anyways, there's a TV show about this trans girl named Jazz.
Jazz Jennings.
Yeah.
TLC, I believe it is.
Yeah. And she doesn't want to detransition, but she wants to get a sex change. Like, finally actually go through that, because she's already been on hormones but didn't get a sex change. But she can't do that because her man region isn't developed enough to actually have a successful surgery. Took hormones too early. The penis didn't develop enough. There's not enough to work with.
Wow.
And
yeah.
No matter what, there's literally no reason to be taking hormones at that age. There's no benefit.
I don't know, man. It's pretty messed up. These are kids we're talking about here.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like they're being led around and then showboated. You know, by their parents. Look how hip we are.
Yeah, just like Desmond is amazing.
Oh, man, that's weird, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like the I don't know. When it comes to children and when it comes to the topics of sex, I feel like it's a very sensitive area, and I think there's a potential for. I mean, you've seen Desmond dancing at those pride parades. The people around him.
Ugh.
I don't know. I get a predatory vibe from it.
100%.
Very, very predatory. And I think they're out there. Listeners, there are people out there that are like that. And,
yeah.
And
even take away the drag thing. Let's just say he was a normal boy. I'm not having my boy out there doing that, or girl.
Yeah, seriously, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the sexualization of minors is, I think, disgusting. And it's not. I don't think it's moral.
I think it's becoming more normalized in LGBT circles.
Just wait for them to push
I'm not saying that all LGBT people are pedos. That's not what I'm saying. But for a long time, even Milo Yiannopoulos has talked about this. There's been a thing. There's been a common relationship type of a young boy and an older man, because sometimes young gay boys may not feel like they have a whole lot of support, and they turn to a fatherly type figure at not legal age, but like 16, 17. And I think that sort of may have caused slippery slope kind of deal. And so now we're getting weird drag readings to kids at libraries, which, first of all, who started that? Who started that? And all of a sudden that's somewhat popular. But we're getting like photo shoots of drag kids, and I'm just, it's not out of bigotry. It's out of an actual concern for these kids and the public health. And that's another thing is that leftists want to look at people who make these criticisms and say, oh, it's bigotry. Oh, you're hateful. Like, no, if conservatives or people in the middle, people taking my sort of position, if it was out of hate, we wouldn't care about these kids. We wouldn't care at all. But we actually don't want kids killing themselves because they're not getting the proper mental treatment on these sort of mental issues. We don't want kids being preyed on. And since that doesn't fall in line with the left's thinking of conservatives evil and pro-acceptance, they just think of it as bigotry. But that's the thing is acceptance of people's differences does not mean acceptance of like the issues that come with the real life issues. So I think we're going down a dangerous road out of acceptance. Like I say this the same thing about Islam. It's people just like, oh, freedom of religion, and like no one's saying that. People are just saying that Islam is dangerous, and the only way you can defend it is out of acceptance.
Yeah, just look at any country where Muslims become a majority. They institute their Sharia law every time.
Well, I mean, look at what acceptance is doing to Europe.
Yeah, the UK.
What acceptance?
Yeah.
What a crock.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. And I think we're on that very same road.
Yeah.
Next topic. What topic are we going to talk about next?
Also, Cuomo's dumb.
Yeah. Why is it
Fredo? Yeah, Fredo. Quick thing on China. We talked about China last week again. We weren't live, but we talked about it. About how Rockets GM Daryl Morey tweeted out, "Fight for freedom, stand with Hong Kong," and China has canceled. They're not showing preseason basketball games.
Wow.
A lot of Chinese companies have cut ties with the Rockets specifically, but also the NBA as a whole. And this is a whole mess.
Yeah, so videos of them taking down ads in China.
Yeah. And both Republicans and Democrats were calling out the NBA for sort of half-hearted, cowardly stance.
Yeah.
Of trying to play it both ways. They're trying to show, oh, we still support freedom of speech, but while still being hush-hush about it, like not being defiant to China.
Yeah.
They want that yen.
Yeah. Wait, isn't yen Japanese?
It's got a Y with two lines through it. I thought it was yen. But anyways. So since then, that's happened. President Trump has called out people like Greg Popovich and Steve Kerr, who are her two...
Yuan. They're yuans.
Yuans, okay. who are two coaches in the NBA who are pretty outspoken leftists, but somehow want to stay quiet, you know? Yeah.
All about opposing tyranny and the dictatorship of Donald Trump. But when actual tyranny and actual dictatorship show up on the door, they bend over backwards for the money.
Yeah, and then once Trump did that, then people in the NBA circles wanted to say, like, then make it a Trump thing. But it's really, you're getting called out by both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
But they know, like, if they could rebrand it as a Trump thing, then they get the left on their side.
Right.
Because the left hates Trump no matter what he does. Just like we're pulling out of Syria, and AOC was in favor of that 2 months ago, literally co-signed a letter with Rand Paul to President Trump to pull out of Syria. And then once Trump does it, then AOC is like, oh, we're turning our backs on our allies.
These people have no consistency.
Yeah. There's also Blizzard, the gaming company. So, in short, Blizzard is only 5%. Okay. So, Tencent, which is a huge tech company in China, owns 5% of Blizzard, which is a gaming company. About 5 days ago, on a Taiwanese stream, this player named Blitzchung for Hearthstone, it's like a card game-ish.
Very popular.
Yeah, very popular. He won a tournament, and they had a post interview with him, where he put on a mask, a gas mask, because, as we discussed last week, China banned masks in Hong Kong to these protests, and so he put on a mask in the interview and said, "Free Hong Kong! This is the revolution of our generation." And the casters at this point put their heads down because they knew that what was to come. So Blitzchung, the player, he got his prize money stripped, which I don't even know how that's legal. He already won it. He's banned for a year from competitive play, and the casters were fired for simply just being there.
Yeah.
And so
Incredible.
now Blizzard's facing huge backlash in the States because they are an American company.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if the latest with China and the U.S. companies is going to escalate to further friction between the U.S. and China, which would be interesting because that's coming from solely the public sector and not actually governments.
Right.
I don't know if I would. I don't know if I've seen that before.
No, yeah, I think when trade relations between two nations begin to break down, that's when I think eventual conflicts happen. If you can do business with somebody and get along fine, you're okay. But I think we're reaching the point where the values of China and the values of the United States are coming head to head, and a lot of Americans are really, really, really angry that American companies would kowtow to a foreign government, a foreign power for money. It's freedom or money.
Well, they're bending the knee.
Yeah, they're bending the knee in a way that is, I think, disgusting, and should not be representative of how Americans should act. It's not.
Several Blizzard employees and casters have quit in protests. Other people have staged walkouts. The funny thing is that one of Blizzard's motto at their office is all voices matter.
No. Oh yeah, and then I think some employees actually covered that sign out of protest.
Yeah, they covered it. The funny thing is they came out and defended the ban of Blitzchung by saying they have a rule that you can't talk politics in interviews and stuff. But we all know it's really a thinly veiled lie. Because if he came out and said impeach Trump, nothing would have happened to him.
No, Blizzard wouldn't have cared.
And it literally doesn't make sense as to why the casters were fired.
Yeah, like if it's about him saying stuff that's political, the casters didn't say anything. They were just.
But not only that, there was a statement from Blizzard Taiwan that came out and said we will defend the honor of our nation, just our nation, China. It's outright saying, and it's just.
Wait, so Taiwan's on China's side or Taiwan's on their own side?
No, it's Blizzard's office in Taiwan.
Okay.
Taiwan is a territory of China.
Really?
Remember? That's why they took for that Tom Cruise movie. They took his patch off his jacket.
Oh yeah. Because China's like a production company behind it or something.
Yeah. That's another thing is China's just creeping into our daily life.
Yeah.
And I think that's worrying.
Yeah, they have that much influence and power.
Which is why I've thought for years before this. If there's another world war, it's not going to be with Russia. Russia's literally no threat. We don't even have anything to conflict over with Russia.
Yeah.
They're just there. I mean, yeah, they're kind of shady.
Oil pipelines in the Middle East, maybe.
They're kind of shady, but that's it. It's China that we have the real problems with.
Yeah. Their whole, communists, never a good idea. Communism, never a good idea.
No, and the funny thing with the NBA is for how woke they are, literally no one's saying anything.
Right.
The common response is that, I have to learn more on it.
Yeah. Cop out.
It's like, how much do you have to learn to know that, hey, freedom and democracy good, communism, dictatorship bad?
Yeah. They still want that Chinese money. China's expanded their influence into Africa, mineral and oil reserves there. They're buying land in Australia. They don't have control over the South China Sea, so they're expanding their territory elsewhere where they can. And I think that's eventually going to lead to a conflict. And if they try to expand into South America, which I think they're probably already trying to do, along with Russia, I think we got some serious beef on the horizon, Kyle. Some serious beef. So I hope whatever, spacecraft that America's working on secretly, it should be deployed against the Chinese.
The Space Force?
Yeah, Space Force. We need space superiority, and I think China wanted to get to the moon. So they want to display they want to be the top dog. That much is clear.
Oh, yeah.
And any American any sign of defiance signs of defiance, they will come down hard on them, on anybody. That's what's happening in Hong Kong, and it's gonna keep happening until we say enough. So, funnily enough, if these trade ties begin to break down, if American companies begin to sever relations with China, that could lead to the eventual armed conflict, I think. And who knows? It could have all started with a streamer, a Hearthstone streamer,
and Daryl Morey.
Yeah.
At one tweet.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Just want to cover this real quick. We saw Joker last weekend.
Fantastic film.
Just want to talk about it a little bit. So, spoiler alert, if you don't want to be spoiled. I'm also going to be talking about Taxi Driver. I don't care if I spoil my dad on Joker, but I don't want to spoil him on Taxi Driver. So you, stop listening. And if you keep listening, I can't do anything about it. But, so I wrote down homages between Joker and Taxi Driver that I saw. Oh, and by the way, I really liked the movie. I downgraded it a little bit once I started to thought about it, but I still put it at 8.5 out of 10. What do you give it?
I give it a 9 out of 10.
I had it at a 9, put it down 8.5. Still very good. The only two 10s out of 10s I've ever seen are Taxi Driver and Die Hard. And obviously Die Hard's on a different scale.
A fantastic flick.
Die Hard's on an action scale. And as an action movie, it's a 10 out of 10. But, so as I was making a mental list. So, the first homage, and it's seen in the start of the movie, is the prevalence of garbage on the streets. Just like in Taxi Driver, that's made a point out of. Also, a lot of black women. And I'm saying that because race played also a big part in Taxi Driver. And their prevalence in Joker, I felt like was definitely with a purpose of some reason. That's why I'm only pointing it out. Not just because I'm racist. I'm not racist. Here's what I thought was an interesting thing is that, so Bickle, he has his public event as the climax, right? He becomes known to the public in the climax when he kills the pimps.
Yeah.
Right. And he's looked at as a hero. Whereas Joker has his public event early in the film, and it explores that going on like during the film, where is it Bickle, it doesn't really explore what he thinks of him becoming a public figure, because that's just at the end.
Right.
Again, it was in his head, but it kind of mirrors how Travis gets a date with Betsy, but just like in Joker, everything's a little more extreme, so it's really awkward. He gets a date out of stalking, whereas Travis kind of does too, except Travis's stalking was less extreme.
Yeah.
And he actually had the balls to come in and talk.
Yeah.
I also thought, did killing De Niro mean something as far as like a meta? As far as like not killing De Niro's character, like specifically having Robert De Niro cast as that character, did that mean something as far as like some message intertwined with Taxi Driver?
That's interesting.
So I thought, because like I love De Niro's one of my favorite actors. He's a douche in real life, but I love him as an actor. But I even feel like he did an okay job. I feel like as a late night host isn't his forte. Right. But they specifically wanted him there for a purpose.
Right.
Joker's handling of his revolver was kind of reminiscent to Taxi Driver, where it kind of gives him some kind of confidence.
Yeah.
Again, Betsy, finger guns to the head. That was pretty damn obvious.
Yeah.
That was as obvious as it got. Both get their guns from coworkers.
Oh yeah, I forgot that in Taxi Driver he does.
Yeah. The funny thing is with Joker. Okay, so with Travis, really almost all of his problems are in his head. Like, he gets a date with Betsy even as badly as he tries. He gets it anyways, and he's doing a pretty good job until he messes it up. You know, he feels isolated, even though his coworkers actually like him,
Yeah.
and just, like they have no problem with treating him as one of the guys. He's making a lot of money.
No, he's not doing so bad.
Yeah, whereas Joker, his problems are actually physical and real, or at least supposedly. Because
Yeah.
again, there's a question: what's in the film is real, what's not.
I still think that he actually is Thomas Wayne's son. And the reason I believe that is because there is a note with his mother on it, the picture of his mother on it, and then on the back it said, "Love your smile, TW," standing for Thomas Wayne. So I think something was there.
I don't know, maybe just a playa. Whereas Joker's problems are physical, and that's why I had to downgrade it a little bit, because I felt like, if I were to take all the events as real, it's less comic booky than a normal comic book movie, but it's still a little over the top.
Well, yeah.
It's a little bit. But because some of it is over the top, I thought, okay, some of this is in his head, because even characters in the movie point out kind of, like his own boss is like, why would you get jumped for a sign? And that's, I mean, not that it wouldn't ever happen, but it is kind of ridiculous. Like, just got beat up by some random kids for a sign.
Oh, did you notice when he did get beat up as he was? This is because I was listening to Todd Phillips, the director of the Joker, talk about
Which,
it.
by the way, he's the director of
The Hangover
Hangover. Yeah.
and some other movies too, usually comedies. But yeah, so when he gets beat up, he presses the button and the little flower, the flower that spurts water from that clowns have, he presses that and it leaks out like tears.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, so that was and Todd Phillips talked about that, and he said that it was supposed to highlight how even at his lowest moment, Arthur still messed up enough to think that this is somewhat of a comedy. At the ending scene, the psychologist is like, he starts, Joker starts laughing maniacally, and the psychologist asks him, "What's so funny?" And then he says, "I was just thinking of a joke." And then it cuts to the scene of Bruce Wayne standing above his murdered parents.
Yeah.
The joke being that, it's his parents' death lead him to become the Batman, which becomes the Joker's biggest nemesis. So that's why she wouldn't get it, is that the joke of him causing the riots that killed Bruce Wayne's parents is what led him to become the Batman. But of course she wouldn't get it. I hope the audience got it.
Yeah. Well, this should stay an isolated film just because this Joker, as good as the movie was, I could never see him rivaling Batman at any point. Because he's not a genius. He's just kind of... Which is another thing, which is why I thought it was in his head. It was a fantasy, because he kind of lucks into a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. I see your point there. How could he contend with the Batman?
Well, he couldn't. But it was a good movie. It's just, I don't know. But also another thing fundamentally different between Taxi Driver and Joker is that they're fundamentally different characters with different character arcs. Like, by the end, Arthur Fleck is an outright villain and psychopath, whereas Travis at the end is just still in the gray.
Mm-hmm.
He's still like anti-hero status. I really never saw Travis as evil.
No. Yeah, no, definitely.
I think he verges on it, but he never like I remember when he's trying out the guns and he points it at like some random women outside. But like, I feel like it's almost like a power fantasy for him, but I don't think he'd ever actually like kill an innocent person, because I think his morals are strong enough that he could never become the trash he sees in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I feel like it's like him taking out random anger would only stay in his head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't see him being a total serial killer psychopath.
Yeah, with Arthur, he lost his meds. He went crazy.
His meds.
Oh.
Oof, we're running out of time here. But overall, a good movie. The funny thing is also that I think by the end, Joker is someone that Travis Bickle would hate.
Or be very scared of.
I don't think Travis would be scared, but by the end, he is the garbage on the streets.
Yeah, but I wonder.
Well,
I
think Joker's a loser. I think Arthur Fleck is a loser.
No,
to me, my definition of a loser is when you get to the point where you lose your morals that you've held on to, and you become that negative force that you've hated. So you're just a hypocrite. Just like at the end, it's because of him, Bruce Wayne's parents die, and he thinks it's funny, when really he's just as bad as all the people that were supposedly mean to him.
Yeah.
To me, that's what a loser is. Not just because you're down on your luck or you're poor. To me, a loser is when you give up those morals and you become a force for creating more of that hate and negativity and maliciousness that you've railed against.
Yeah. Arthur lost his way.
Yeah. And that, again, differs from in Taxi Driver, where as much as people say, and at the end it does show that, yeah, he has the potential to break again, but Travis is actually off in a genuinely better place than at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, he's able to let go of his obsession with Betsy, and he's actually letting himself have fun with his taxi driver co-workers.
Yeah.
And he actually seems pretty good.
Yep.
Besides the look in the mirror. But anyways, that's it for today.
Oh, one more thing. About, remember the stairs in the Joker?
Yeah.
At the end, when he finally becomes a Joker, he's descending those stairs into hell, and he relishes in it.
Well, yeah, that's the only time he descends them.
Yeah.
The rest of the movie, he ascends them.
Yeah. Interesting.
So there's still more iconography in the movie I'd like to look at, but
we're out of time.
yeah. So we'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening.